Hey everyone, Simon here with a topical and important video on planetary war, what it means for the world, what it means for your own chart. And I'm not talking about, Star Wars or any sci-fi stuff. I'm talking about what happens in a Vedic horoscope when two planets are within 1 degree of each other, which is the definition of a planetary war, and which is what is going on in the sky right now between the planets Mars and Venus. So let's take a look at that. But first of all, let's take a look at a graphic. And let me go here to my screen that shows us the methods of persuasion of the different planets. Every planet is symbolized as having a different way of interfacing with the world. For example, the moon rules temptation. And so in a person or a country that is predominantly ruled by the moon will want to tempt others to come visit. I'm on my way to Bali right now. And so Bali seems like that kind of place, right? It tempts you to want to visit the Caribbean, come and enjoy, etc., etc. I'm going for, Ayurvedic kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily quote unquote enjoyment, but that's the idea of a place or a person ruled by the moon. Think about businesses that are moon ruled, right? Ice cream, they tempt you. Oh, it's so good. Moon rules over things like ice cream and so forth. Then Mars and the Sun are planets that symbolize punishment and force. The word in Sanskrit is danda. Danda means a stick, right? So Teddy Roosevelt had the quote, "Speak softly and carry a big stick," meaning you don't have to say much when people know you've got the power of pop, to whack them in the head. So Mars and Sun rule force, strength, punishment, right? They act and ask questions later. Mercury rules diplomacy. Now, Mercury and Saturn both rule diplomacy, and but they play out in slightly different ways. With Mercury, it's the power to speak well, the power to create logical arguments, artfulness, wit even, and creating win-win situations for people. Sometimes lying. Sometimes Mercury will omit things that don't need to be said, right? And so forth. Then Jupiter and Venus rule good counsel, an appeal to reason and honesty. And you would think, well, I get that with Jupiter, why Venus? Venus and Jupiter are Brahmin planets. Remember, Jupiter is the guru of the Devas. Venus is the guru of the Danavas, the Asuras, right? So Venus is still a guru, though. He is a Brahmin, Jupiter is a Brahmin. So they both rule good counsel. And Venus has a little bit of the element of seduction as well. And then Saturn also rules diplomacy, but it also rules diplomacy after behind the scenes machinations. So Saturn is a planet that likes to work behind the scenes. It doesn't like to be up front. It's the camera person, the director, the executive producer, not the actor, right? So spying, maneuvers, spreading rumors, blackmail, and also creating win-win situations, saying, look, I give you this, you do this for me. It's okay? Okay, we do it. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. Everybody happy. Okay? No problem. Look, I'm wearing tracksuit, I talk Russian. Adidas, right? Servant of the divine. Anyway, that's Saturn. Saturn also rules the dark color, so I'm inspired. So why is this important? Well, it's important to know these methods of persuasion, and this doesn't get taught when studying Vedic astrology a lot. This gets kind of left in the background, but it becomes important when we're looking at a planetary war. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart here. So we have a planetary war between Mars and Venus, and a lot of Vedic astrologers are talking about, well, look, this is why there is potential war happening between Russia and the Ukraine. And the good thing is, as far as Vedic astrology is concerned, this was foreseeable, right? We could see this a year ago, 10 years ago, 1,000 years ago. If you had, the calculations and the software or whatever, you could predict, hey, this planetary war is going to happen between February like 13th or 12th and March 12th or so, that roughly a month, three to 4 weeks. So how exactly it would play out, nobody knows, but it is playing out with a lot of tension, a lot of war. So how do we know what happens and who wins during a planetary war? There are 3 ways. The first is to see which planet is brighter, okay, in the sky. Remember, Jyotisha is the science of light. Jyoti means light. So you have to actually go outside and look at the planets. And if you go outside and look at them today, you'll notice that there's Venus, but where the hell is Mars? Mars is incredibly faint. And they're not close together. So you might go, well, wait a minute, I thought they were supposed to be the same degree. Well, they're on the same degree of longitude, but they are separated by latitude. And so that brings us to the second way of determining the winner in a planetary war, which is which planet is higher up, which planet holds the higher position. And if you go out and look at your sky, I'm not going to tell you, go out and look at your sky early in the morning. For most people, you will see that which planet is up there? Venus. So Venus is not only brighter, in fact, in a planetary war with Venus, it will usually almost always be the brightest planet. I mean, probably always, because Venus has the lowest apparent magnitude on average of all the planets. But not only is it brighter, it's also higher up than Mars. So what you'll see is Venus is higher up in the sky and much brighter, and you'll see Mars as a faint dot. Now, these things are measured in astronomy in terms of magnitude. And so when a planet, so with negative magnitude being brighter, so for example here, the sun is negative 26.89 magnitude. That's the brightest thing in our sky. The moon is negative 12. And the next highest you will see is Venus, minus 4.6. That is very bright. The human eye can see up to a positive 6 magnitude. So, but Venus is all the way down, negative 4.6 magnitude. You see, it's brighter than almost anything, than everything in the night sky except the moon. And here, the moon is minus 12 because it's almost a full moon. So the moon is exceedingly bright. When the moon's a crescent, its brightness will wane. So you see Venus is minus 4.6. The next brightest is Jupiter at minus 2. And where's Mars? 1.3. So it's not even close in terms of brightness. And then in terms of declination, Mars is minus 23, which means it's very low in the sky if you're looking at from the northern hemisphere. And Venus is minus 16, which means it's low, but it's not as low as Mars. So Venus is higher than Mars and brighter, which means it wins the planetary war. Now, some people will tell you that there's another way to judge the winner of a planetary war, and that is the planet whose degree of longitude is less than the other. I don't buy into that. I don't think that's true. It doesn't make any sense. And as a person, since I'm invoking Saturn today, who is ruled by logic and sense, we're going to follow what's logical, that the higher planet and the brighter planet should win the war. And so in this case, and I do encourage you, go outside and look at these guys. When you see them, I haven't been outside for a long time, and not early in the morning, I should say. And the moment I saw them, the first words out of my mouth were, well, diplomacy has to prevail. Or at least diplomacy has a chance. And I said that with respect to what's happening in Russia and the Ukraine, because let me show you here. Even though Venus doesn't rule diplomacy per se, that's more Mercury and Saturn, it does rule good counsel and the desire to get along, to make things work. And with Venus winning the planetary war over force and war over Mars, then we have a chance to solve this thing with diplomacy. I said it a year ago when someone asked me to do a prashna, when long before troops were sent to the border. I said, look, this thing is going to escalate, but I think in the end, diplomacy is going to have a chance. Now, again, free will play out. So it's very close. It's very tight. And of course, it depends on the actors on the stage, you know, how they deliver their lines. But I think there's a good chance for diplomacy. So let's hope and pray that that happens. Now, what about if you have a planetary war in your chart? How do you deal with it? What does it mean for you? I've talked about this on previous occasions. Let me just kind of bring it up here again. Oops. Give me 1 second here. All right. So if you have a planetary war in your chart, it will, first of all, you have to see which planet is the winner. When it comes to contest charts, like, you know, Super Bowl or you know, a sports match, if one team is ruled by one planet and the other team is ruled by the other, and those planets are in a planetary war, the one who wins the war typically wins the game. It's pretty straightforward. So in this case, let me kind of round out this chart here. And I'll give you an example. If we made this, sorry about that. If we made this the ascendant, so now Mars is the ruler of the ascendant and Venus is the ruler of the seventh. Whichever team is the favorite in this case, ruled by Mars, is likely to lose the game because Venus, the ruler of the underdog, wins the planetary war. So in cases like that, where it's a contest, this helps to see who the winner is. In a personal chart, it's more complicated. Yes, you want to see which planet wins the war, but really both planets are afflicted. So the house where the planetary war happens is going to show you where the issue is, where the problems will be, where the battlefield is. And then the houses ruled by those planets will indicate what the issues are. It's a little more complex, requires some more diplomacy and tact and behind the scenes research, Saturn. But you can find out with a little bit of questioning. And often what happens is the person, when they're younger, their life can be a little chaotic when there's a planetary war, because there's a sense of you want to go this way and you want to go this way. Should I go to Harvard or should I go into Greenpeace? Should I, you know, become a molecular biologist or be an actor? Right? These choices keep pulling you back and forth, and there's a sense of uncertainty in your life. Just as now, you know, on the world stage, there's a sense of uncertainty. So, but everything gives us a chance to do a teaching kind of moment. And that's the essence of what's happening now. So hope this was useful. Just a very quick video on the mechanics of the planetary war, how to determine who the winner is, and how to interpret it both for the world and in your own chart. I hope this was useful. We'll see you in the next one. Okay. Namaste, everyone.